You're in the right place if you suffer from overweight or obesity, and particularly if you have any of the medical problems associated with overweight or obesity. I want to introduce myself to you. I am Dr. Charles Pruchno. My friends call me Charlie. I have been in the Cedar Rapids community for the past 25 years. I'm a trained nephrologist, which is a kidney specialist. A few words more about that in just a minute. Usually when I'm talking to people, I know who I'm talking to, and I do see a number of familiar faces here who have already been through the clinic, but just by a show of hands, how many of you have had that conversation with your doctor? You need to lose weight for your health, or you have health problems and need to lose weight. Okay, so you're in the right place. How many of you have diabetes? How many of you are on insulin? Okay, how many of you have high blood pressure? Cholesterol problems? Heart disease? Last question, how many of you have sleep apnea? Okay, so how many of you have had your hands up the whole time? Particularly for those of you with sleep apnea, this is probably a challenging time. You've just spent the whole day up. You might have been at work. You might have done a bunch of other stuff. You might have had dinner just before you came. And now you're going to sit down and listen to me drone on for about the next hour or so. And you may very well get the temptation that you want to just see what the inside of your eyelids look like. If you start feeling like you're struggling, like you really need to keep your eyelids open, do me a favor, just stand up and either walk to the sides or into the back. Just the act of standing up will help wake you up. And I promise you that I'll try to keep it snappy and try to make it as interesting as possible. And when we come to the most important part, I'll look around, and if I see somebody snoozing, I'll call you out on it, because what I have to tell you, I think you really need to hear, and for some of you, it may be things that might change your life or save your life. So again, I'm a nephrologist, which is a kidney specialist, and you may be asking yourself, why is a nephrologist talking with us about weight loss and obesity? And for me, it comes back to something that I was told the very first day of medical school. The very first day of medical school, we were all nervous and didn't know what we were going to expect. And we had a group of, we had a convocation. All of the deans gave us inspiring talks. And one of the deans said something that has stuck with me ever since and has been one of my guiding principles. He said, your first job as a doctor is to put yourself out of business. What a great way to look at the profession of medicine. You really aren't there to keep people sick. You're there to try to get them healthy so that they don't need you anymore. Well, as a nephrologist, it did not take me long to realize that more than half of all of the business that we got, more than half of all of dialysis, was diabetes. And so clearly I thought, if I was going to be able to put myself out of business as a kidney specialist, I would need to learn everything that I could about diabetes. And interestingly, a short time after I came to this community, the one trained endocrinologist, the one diabetes specialist that we had left, leaving a void that really was not filled for about a decade or so. And during that time, I really took over as functionally the diabetes expert of the community. I chaired the diabetes education program, and even though my inpatient practice was primarily devoted to kidney disease, my outpatient practice was really devoted to diabetes. Well, it doesn't take doing diabetes very long to realize that it is really driven by obesity. In fact, 95% of diabetes is type 2 diabetes, and type 2 diabetes is primarily a disease characterized by obesity and overeating. So in order to put myself out of business as a diabetes expert, I thought I need to learn everything I can about obesity. So that's kind of what drives me. That's why I'm here.